Martin, it's great to talk to you. It's been far too long. Did Israel Folau win, draw or lose?
Oh, I think he won. I mean, a facial expression tells 1,000 words in my view. So if you look at the video footage of Israel and Maria coming out of the mediation last night, I mean, I know Israel pretty well and I haven't seen him smile like that for a very, very long time. So I think that tells you a lot about what went on behind closed doors and how the day concluded. But it's also important to notice that Raylene Castle has subsequently said that it was cheaper for them to settle than to go to court. So presumably she wasn't expecting to win. So her lawyers had warned her that the law was not on their side. And I think a lot of other people have made the commentary that really Rugby Australia needed this off the agenda so that it wasn't, you know, a distraction or whatever into next year, which probably means that they didn't calculate that the people were on their side either. And I suspect that actually they calculated correctly on that, just based on the outpouring of support that we saw earlier in the year. So my view is that it was a clear loss. He was the guy who was suing them, and they had to buckle.
Now, Martin, I've got an uncanny ability. It's been much remarked of being able to get people to tell me stuff they shouldn't, and I'm going to do this on you. It's been reported that he won $8 million. Rugby Australia says it's wildly inaccurate. Is Rugby Australia right?
This is my poker face, Andrew. The reality is I actually don't know the exact answer to that question. But I don't know if money can make people smile, and if it can, pretty big grins last night.
Okay, well, let's say that he got, I don't know, a couple of $1 million, okay? Yet, how can he claim that he's won when he won't be playing again for Rugby Australia?
Well, I think it depends how you define the win. Was it money? Was it retribution? Was it something else? Or was it indeed to play for Rugby Australia again? I think there will be opportunities for Israel internationally to play sport again, which he may well take advantage of. But I think that to define the win, you've got to look at what Israel himself said. And I believe him when he says this, knowing him reasonably well. He said he was actually wanting to raise a voice for religious freedom and to actually be someone who could help others in this situation. And there's a couple of fronts on which that has come true. Firstly, I think that barring a real upset, the government will be introducing in February next year a law which I colloquially call the Folau clause to try and ensure this sort of thing doesn't happen again. And the other side of it is I do think that every bureaucrat and corporate person or someone who's accrued a little bit of power to themselves who thinks that it's okay to ruin someone's career simply because they don't like what they've said, I think it sends a very clear message to them. I don't think there's many big corporates out there, and look, Qantas has gone pretty quiet lately. I don't think there's many big corporates out there that want to endure this kind of thing. So I think it sent a very clear message. I'm concerned about that particular issue because I talk to a lot of people who are not famous every other day who have been in sort of similar circumstances, and that message needs to get out there. They can't ruin people's careers over this stuff.
I want to get back to that point in a second. You raised $2 million of donations. Obviously, you didn't need them for to run the whole court case and the appeal prospectively. What's going to happen to the donations that you did get?
Well, all the money that's left over, which I'm pleased to report is most of it, as you would well expect, that's going to go back to the original donors. We're going to make an offer to every single one of them that they can receive a refund on a pro rata basis. So a percentage of whatever's left over, it'll go back on a pro rata basis to everybody who gave. And that's what we committed to at the time. I think it's the right thing to do. So there's a bit of admin and working out how the systems can figure all that out to be done over the next few weeks. So bear with us, but it'll be done.
That sounds a bit of a logistical nightmare, but I noticed a number of people have written back to you saying, no, keep it for the next big fight, because there will be one. And speaking of that, there is, in my opinion, as an agnostic, a war against Christianity to try to drive it from the public space. How does it seem from your end? Are you winning or are you losing?
Well, it's an interesting question, I think. I mean, it depends how long a timeline you're looking at. I mean, I've read the book. I know how it ends well. But in the immediate term, I do see that there is significant improvements in the position of Christianity in the public squares in Australia. I think the Folau case is a massive example of that. I think the election of the Morrison government's been a big example of that. Scott Morrison being a clear and avowed and overt Christian. But the other thing is that I'm noticing amongst our supporters, there's 175,000 of them, and that's been rapidly increasing for a while, I'm noticing just a renewed zeal and desire to get involved and make a difference. And I guess it's the job of people like me to capitalise on that and show people what they can do in order to make that difference. So I'm very confident that we have people who can get active and do good things. But as for winning and losing, look, I think Christianity's always been in a situation where to some degree we're under pressure and we thrive in that environment.
Oh, look, you did in the first 3 centuries, but it's been a long time. I think some of the churchmen are out of fighting shape.